Cyberpunk 2077 is out, and while they're telling you what to do, they tell you a lot, but not everything. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, Cyberpunk 2077, 10 things the game doesn't tell you. Number 10 is some easy ways you can make some money. You're going to want to make a lot of money in this game. It might seem like the game throws a lot of weapons at you, hand over fist, at first at least, and you can sell them for easy money, but you're going to run into a lot of expenses really quick, especially if you try to rush through the main story. There's a few things you can do to make a lot of cash called eddies in the game, and you can do it fast. Basically collect everything you can, loot all the corpses, collect the guns, and pick up as much junk as you can carry. Most is worthless, but there are places you can sell stuff all over the place, and you're never too far from one. This is good because it doesn't take much to fill up your inventory limit either. To go along with that, a really good way to get a lot of money is to do any crime reports you see. All you have to do for these is neutralize all the criminals in the area and collect a shard for evidence. You get paid a good amount for doing these things, they're all over the place, and of course you can collect all of the loot when you're done as well. To make a lot of money early on, you're going to want to exploit these NCPD crime jobs, like get a decent sniper rifle, get the Nerves of Steel perk that increases headshot damage with the sniper rifle, and find a good vantage point. Enemies struggle to deal with you at long ranges, especially in the open world, so use that weakness to take out enemies that are way stronger than you. You will not be able to use any of the weapons they drop because they'll be level gated, but you can sell them for tons of cash. Do this for a while and you'll have all the money you need to get all the upgrades you want. At number 9, hacking is really good. Like, even if you don't plan on focusing on hacking much, it is still a great idea to try to hack stuff before and during any combat encounters. First, because hacking can be powerful even with a base Cyberpunk OS, and second, because anytime you hack something successfully, you get a decent amount of experience. And that's the main thing here. Hacking is a good way to get more experience from an encounter with relatively little extra effort. If you actually do want to be serious about hacking, then be sure to buy a better OS ASAP. The base model you start with is okay, but it's fairly limited in terms of RAM, which affects the amount of powers you can use. There's a good OS you can get relatively early in the game. It's found at a Ripper doc named Dr. Chrome and Watson for $15,000. While you're wandering the city, if you see any access points, be sure you hack them as well. If done correctly, they can net you thousands of dollars easily, especially if you the advanced data mine perk, which increases the payout from hacking. Combine that with the extended network interface perk that automatically highlights access points, and you'll be able to get a lot of money fast. At number 8 is how to best spend attribute points. They don't necessarily tell you this, but when it comes to improving your stats, there's a really big tip that will save you a ton of time. Just save them for when you hit a point where you might need them, like a skill check during a conversation, and spend them there. You don't have to reload or anything. You can just go into the menu and spend points mid-conversation, and that is extremely handy. Of course, if you don't want to do that, the main things you're going to want to invest in are body, which increases health and stamina, technical ability, which increases your armor level, and intelligence, which increases your hacking ability. This isn't an end-all build I'm talking about here, but from my experience, these 3 attributes are much more helpful to upgrade than others. Reflexes and stuff like that can be useful too. Stealth, but even pretty much unupgraded, stealth isn't hard to do. And like I said, reflexes can be useful, but it's the guns that really affect how well you're going to do, not the gun handling stat. Both reflexes and cool give you very incremental upgrades as well compared to other stats. Getting a flat health increase is just better than these 1% minor upgrades you get from putting points into reflexes. The other main reason to put points into body and technical ability, they can literally open doors for you. At number 7, our favorite perks are stuff that you might not just immediately find obvious. There's a lot of perks to buy, and it can be pretty overwhelming. When it comes to investing in perks, it's best to stick with ones that have synergy with one another. Like, once you figure out how you want to play the game, just put all your perks into upgrading your abilities with that weapon, let's say. But certain perks pretty much everybody should get, and there's so many of them so it can be easy to overlook which ones are best. Like, get Pack Mule as early as you can. It increases your carrying capacity by 60, and you will be picking up so much junk in this game, you absolutely need that. It might annoy you that headshots don't do a ton of damage. There are things that you can do to mitigate that. For instance, Rio Bravo increases headshot damage on pistols, while Nerves of Steel does the same from sniper rifles. Even better is Frozen Precision, which increases headshot damage by 50%. It's incredibly good, but you have to put 11 points into the Cold Blood tree before you can unlock it. Honestly, looking at the Cold Blood perk seems like this stuff would be pretty powerful if you dumped enough perk points into it, but I haven't tested it yet, so I'm not really 100% certain. Seems useful, keep that in mind. Another really useful perk is Blade Runner, which increases damage to drones, mechs, and robots. These things usually require special weapons to fight, so having a perk that just gives you flat damage increase with them is like crazy useful. The perk I Spy reveals enemy net runners when they're attempting to hack you. It's essential. We'll get into why later in this video. And of course, there's Advanced Data Mine, which we already mentioned and is super useful if you're trying to make a lot of easy money. There's a lot more here, but mainly you're going to want perks that work together in some way. Basically, dumping a lot of points into one tree will make you significantly stronger in whatever that skill is, be it rifles or handguns or whatever. At number 6, do not get hacked. Now, that probably sounds like obvious advice, but probably the most annoying enemies you have to deal with in this game are netrunners who can hack you. These guys are bad news. Bad news bears. They hide, and if they can manage to hack you, you'll take constant damage as well as have to deal with these annoying effects covering your screen. Basically, the only way you can get hacked is if a netrunner has line of sight on you. The thing is, they don't need to be looking at you directly. If a camera can see you, so can a netrunner. So if you're in combat, don't just ignore cameras, especially if you get a warning about a netrunner being in the area. Shoot them. Get rid of the cameras. Probably the most useful thing you can deal with netrunners is the perk that I mentioned earlier, I Spy, which highlights a netrunner when they're trying to hack you. These guys like to hide, so being able to see where one is so you can break line of sight is incredibly handy. And at number 5, you'll need some things if you want to get everywhere, like to get through certain locked doors at least. Put points into technical ability and body, as certain locked doors need to be lockpicked, which requires a certain number of points at technical, and some doors and barriers can be torn off, and that requires body. If you want to get everywhere in the city, you'll need to put points into both of these attributes, though, like I mentioned earlier, it's not a bad idea just to save some points in case you come to a door you want to open, but don't have a high enough value to open it. There's also some spots where it looks like you'll be able to jump into them, but they're too far away. To access places like that, you'll need a particular piece of cyberware, either reinforced tendons to be able to double jump, or fortified ankles to boost jump. Either will get you where you want to go, but fair warning, these are both really expensive. At number 4, you should drive around the city rather than fast travel, which sounds totally counterproductive, but it's actually much better. Like, there are these fast travel points basically all over the place. They're convenient, they're easy to use, but if you go through the game exclusively using them, you're going to miss out on a few things, mainly calls from your contacts. Your contacts seem to call when you transition from one area of the city to another a lot of the time, and while they also seem to call you based on other factors like time, the ones that do primarily contact you when you enter a new area can be missed if all you do is fast travel. Fast traveling can also get you into a problem where your calls start to stack up, forcing you to wait outside a mission door while you're talking to various people that want to get in contact with you. Like, I guess V's a popular guy, so it's good to give yourself some downtime to get caught up with all the calls and texts you'll be getting. I don't know, I feel like there's a funny joke to make here about texting while driving, but seriously, like, this is a good thing to do while you're playing this game. At number 3 is do the side jobs. I'm not going to elaborate too much on this one, but if you're playing the game, it's smart to do as many of the big side jobs as you can, and for one main reason, they can affect the ending. Yeah, there's basically only one ending in the game if you just play the main story. Other options become available to you only if you complete certain side jobs. They're worth doing anyway. Like, many of the side jobs are just as good as the main quest. Even boring sounding busy work ones, like find all the rogue taxis, actually have really cool payoffs. So without spoiling anything, do that. Try that. At number 2, this probably sounds ridiculously obvious, but look around the city. There are all kinds of secrets hidden around Night City, so just take the time to explore it. And when I say explore, I mean really give it a deep dive. Look around. Sometimes this game is going to surprise you with a side quest or a special weapon that is just hidden away somewhere. Sometimes background stuff like people talking can lead to side jobs, and this part You can see some cops knocking on your door at an apartment building. You see a similar scene earlier in the game, but this one actually opens up a new mission if you stop and observe what's going on for a little while. Like, there's stuff like this all over too. There's little weapon deposits or little stories to follow. It's not the best stuff in the game, but there's more of it than you might think. Like, the city is really awesome, perfect, well made for getting lost in. So wander around a bit, meld, absorb some culture, take the scenic route, whatever you want to call it. There's tons of cool stuff to find. And finally, at number 1, how romance works. Now, a lot of people play this type of a game specifically for romance, which I'm sure somebody could call kind of sad, but I'm not one to judge. I mean, it's a role-playing game. I also play these games, and I think it's something people expect, so let's just at least run down. As far as main romance options go, there are actually not really that many. There's really only one requirement for whether you can romance a character or not, which is whether your character is feminine or masculine, which, keep that in mind while I quickly run down every main character you can romance. And just so you know why we put this at number 1 near the end of the video, there's some minor spoilers here. Keep that in mind. The first character you can romance is Judy, and you meet her through the main story. She's only interested in feminine characters, however. The next, Panam, you meet in Act 2, and she is only interested in a masculine character. The character River, however, you can only meet by doing a specific side mission called I Fought the Law, and you can only romance him if you are feminine. The last one is Carrie, who is a former member of Johnny Silverhand's band, and the last big romance character, and he's only interested if you're masculine. To actually romance someone is pretty basic, really. If you want to romance them, you need to complete whatever mission you meet them in, and then complete whatever personal missions they have as well. Your dialogue choices do affect the outcome, but it shouldn't be too hard to tell if they approve or disapprove of the stuff you're going to say. There aren't any big fake outs or false roads that you can go down with these things, so just save your game before you do any major conversations and reload if you blow it. As long as you're their preferred gender and you don't completely scare them off, you should be fine, which is comforting, but also maybe not necessarily the most realistic element of the game. Hell though, it's called Cyberpunk, it's about the future, everybody's wearing neon colors and has robot arms and legs and stuff, so I mean, yeah. Did you find anything in Cyberpunk 2077 that isn't immediately obvious? Let us know in the comments. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now is a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week, and the best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription. So click subscribe. Don't forget to click the notification bell. And as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at FalconTheHero. We'll see you next time right here on gameranx.